On this episode of the Carolina Sports Guy, we're going to go ahead and dive into the preseason and training camp coming up here in the end of July. We're going to basically look at it by position. Today, talking about the wide receivers. Right now, we have 13 on the roster. Who stays, who goes, who's stuck in the middle. Before we get into today's content, folks, if you haven't subscribed to this channel, please do so. It doesn't cost anything. Pound that like button, hit the bell notification to be notified for future videos of the Carolina Panthers, Carolina Hurricanes, Charlotte Hornets, and major college sports in the Carolinas. And leave me some comments. I'd like to know what you think of the videos. I'd also like some input on what you would like to see covered. All right, folks, I kind of wanted to start with the wide receivers first. I think it's an intriguing group, kind of broken down an early look at the 53-man roster for the offense and for the defense. Now it's kind of time to sit back and we're going to look at positions. Now, there's 13 players right now, and it's going to change. It's liquid. I know I did a video a few weeks ago and talked about Tommy Stevens making the roster, and lo and behold, 2 days after I put the video out, the guy gets cut. And we put a wide receiver from Ohio State on the roster. And I know you turn the bottom of the roster and see what you have. Now, 13 guys at wide receiver right now, you know all 13 aren't going to make the squad. But how many of them make the roster? How many of them do we try to stash on the practice squad? And how many of them are just camp bodies? Well, I'll start first with the guys that I don't think will make it. Number 13, Ventell Bryant. It's number 10 if you want to be looking at your rosters. If you go to training camp, he is from Temple, and you're going to see a common theme because we have a few receivers and even a tight end from Temple. I'm not saying the guy doesn't have game. I just think he's got an uphill battle no matter how good he can be because of what we have on this roster. We can go back years ago and look at a roster when a guy like Brenton Buckner, who was pretty serviceable, could make this roster and make the 53-man roster and get in games. We were in trouble at the wide receiver position, folks. A guy like that only makes a roster if you've got injuries or if your roster's just not strong enough. And if you're going to keep a man like that on the roster, it's because everybody else is outstanding and he can do a little something on special teams that these other guys can't. Number 12, looking at the list, Michael Marken. I hope that's getting the guy's names right. Michael Marken, Michael Marken. He is number 19, and he comes from University of Massachusetts, UMass. I do not think we'll be keeping this gentleman on the roster. His upside might even be less than Bryant is, but he's just someone I don't see making the roster. He's a camp body. Number 11 on the list from James Madison University, number 13, Ishmael Hyman. Now, Hyman, I think, has got a little bit more upside, and I wouldn't just give up on him yet, but he's really going to have to turn heads. For a guy like Hyman to make this roster, even make the practice squad, somebody's going to have to get hurt. A couple people have to go down. Somebody's going to have a pretty shitty training camp. And then and only then if we can't find anybody to bring in from another roster. Who, when they're making cuts or trades or whatever, that Hyman would make this list. I don't see him making the list at all myself. Number 10, that's the guy we brought in for Tommy Stevens from Ohio State, C.J.Saunders. I just think it's a guy we wanted to get a look at. He had a serviceable college career. I just don't think he's going to be able to crack this roster. If he would crack the roster, you would be thinking, why didn't we have him on the roster sooner? So like I said, it's another camp body. Number 9. Number 9 is the guy we got a good look at when we went to BYU on Pro Day to look at the quarterback that the New York Jets just drafted, Zach Wilson. He was catching balls from Zach Wilson and looked very good in the process. Now, he came out last draft, the 2020 draft, but because of the COVID-19 protocol, he really didn't get to go to the combine, didn't get a lot of fanfare tryouts, and nobody signed the guy. So he's worked hard in the offseason. He's number 81, and we're going to have to go and see if this guy can make the roster. He's got a lot of speed, got good hands, but he's fighting an uphill battle at number 9, folks. We're not keeping 9 receivers. I don't think he'll make it. Now, Now's where we're getting to the top 8. And now I'm going to go in reverse order, because I want to hold suspense for the guys who are in the ditch, in the middle. I definitely think we're keeping 5 receivers. I know we'll keep. Possibility that we're going to keep a 6, without a doubt. Now, we've kept 7 in the past before, and that is a small possibility. I don't see it. I think we're keeping 5, 6 maximum. So number 1 guy that we're going to keep, we've already looked at the guys I just don't think I got a chance, but you're going to give them a look. But the number 1 guy who's definitely secure is the guy we need to sign to a long-term contract or franchise tag him when the season's over. And that's the guy we drafted in the first round out of Maryland 4 or 5 years ago, DJ Moore. We switched his number from 12 to number 2. DJ Moore is our most polished receiver, and unless he gets injured, he is the number 1 wide receiver, folks. And, I mean, the guy's just phenomenal. I think he's only going to get better. Hopefully him and Sam Darnold will have a good career with each other. Number 2, and number 2 could probably be bolted down a little bit. Somebody could take his place. I would not be surprised. There was talk of trade during the draft that we might have got rid of him. He didn't show up for the OTAs earlier, and a lot of people were worried. But as long as this last year on this contract, he's on the team, I don't think we'll trade him. Unless he gets hurt or gets outperformed, I think he'll be our number 2 receiver. I could see him drop down to number 3. And depending on how some of these younger guys do, he might be the 4th man on the receiving ranks. But I definitely see right now he's number 2 and his position is safe. And that's Robbie Anderson, who played at Temple for Matt Rule. We got him from, he was a free agent from the Jets. But number 11, Robbie Anderson's the number 2 receiver. And I think that's the way it's going to stay. Now, we're going to sign him long term when the season's over. I don't think we draft 2 guys in this draft and keep Robbie Anderson. But there's that small possibility. If something goes wrong with DJ Moore and we get tied in a pickle, you never know. Robbie Anderson could be given a contract. But right now, I think this is probably his swan song with the Panthers this year. Number 3, this is where it gets dicey. 3 through 8 get dicey. Number 3 is David Moore from East Central, but more or less via our general manager, Scott Fitterer, and the Seattle Seahawks. David Moore, who's number 83. Played very well with the Seahawks. And this is a guy that can be the 2nd or 3rd receiver for Russell Wilson and the Seahawks, or even the 4th man at times. He definitely should be number 3 with us. And the only way I don't see David Moore sticking as the number 3 receiver is if our young rookies just outperform and do so well that he gets bumped down. And I think he's going to do well for us. He's going to be a solid guy. And I think David Moore, you can pencil him at number 3. But I do see him at some games being the fourth receiver out. So we'll see. Number 4. And number 4 is a rookie who was drafted, but not the one you might be thinking of. I think number 4, his potential is as high as number 3 this year. And he is a guy that if he hits a rookie wall, he could drop all the way to 6. But I definitely know that this guy's going to be on the 53-man roster, even though he was a 6th-round pick out of South Carolina, and that's Shi Smith. And he is now the new number 12. So don't get too confused, folks. If he starts catching balls and scoring touchdowns, you see number 12 and think it's DJ Moore, because it's nothing other than Shi Smith. And he is the number 4 receiver. Now, number 5, and this is the last guy that I think is safe. Without a doubt, he's safe of making the 53-man roster. It's a rookie we drafted in the 2nd round from LSU, number 88, Terrace Marshall Jr. Now, why do I have him higher than Shi Smith? Because he's got some nagging injuries. He's coming along slowly. We don't want to rush it. And the way Shi Smith has looked at these OTAs, he's pushing himself ahead while we're kind of taking the knees with Terrace Marshall, because I see him more as the long-term guy that either is going to be a replacement for DJ Moore or be the number 2 with DJ Moore. So we're going to see what's going to happen there, folks. Now, the next one on the list that we're going to look at, and this is where it gets good, is number 6, 7, and 8. Number 6, I think, will make the roster, and this will be his last year, and that's Brandon Zylstra. Brandon Zylstra, that used to play for Minnesota, number 16. I just think this guy's going to stick around one more year. I wouldn't be surprised if he's cut, but the way I see it playing out, this is his last year for us, but he's number 6, but he's going to get pushed. And the guy who's going to get pushed is either going to take his spot or somebody's going to pick him up. If not, he'll be our first receiver on the practice squad. And that's a guy we got last year as a rookie, Omar Bayless, who was undrafted from Arkansas State, number 17. I really got high hopes, and this guy could make it work. We're going to have to wait and see how that goes out. But really, between Zylstra and Bayless, a 6 and 7. And then number 8, I've got him making the practice squad. He might not make it at all, folks, and there is a slim possibility he could be on this roster, but I don't think it's either practice squad for him or he's going to get cut. And that's Keith Kirkwood from Temple, number 18. And that's kind of where I'm drawing the line. After him, it's no practice squad, you're getting cut. Before him, you're making the roster or you're on the practice squad. But I either see Keith Kirkwood making it or he don't. I've got him on the practice squad. But it depends if we keep 8 receivers, including practice squad. If we don't, he's gone. So what do you think of today's video, folks? Pound that like button, leave some comments. By all means, hit the bell notification, be notified of future videos like these. And folks, subscribe. It doesn't cost anything. I will see you next time on another episode of Carolina Sports.